Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to another episode of Wings, Beers, and Tears, your favorite DMV sports podcast. We are back and better than ever on another February dreary day here in the DMV, and it kind of reflects a little bit of the attitude of some of our sports teams, but we will get into that this evening. It is your usual cast of characters here. I am Todd, joined as always by Jerry. How are you?
Hello, give a shout out to my girl Tiff who's listening to us.
Hello, Tiff.
She may be our best fan ever.
Well, she's not listening right now because we're not live, but
we're going to upload like instantaneously, Jeremy. And that's the third member of our party chiming in early like the dickhead that he is. Here's Jeremy on the other end.
Stick a fucking paddle up his ass and not the handle way.
That's the only way you can beat me.
And what better way to start another episode of DMV Sports podcasting with a paddle in the ass. I can't think of anything better.
Can I just say that in the one time I played Jeremy in ping pong,
he beat me.
I beat him. Of course I did. I haven't lost in like 7 years, but I will say this, that Jeremy and I were so into the game that it's when John Rourke had his surgery and Sheila came over and was telling us about the surgery. We couldn't have given a shit. we were so focused on the game.
We were like, hey, Sheila, it's game point. We got to win by 2. Talk to me later.
Hey, Sheila, I love John. I love him. But relax.
Yeah, chill.
Well, the fun part was dodging the chips flying off the paddles because they're all like rotten and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we played at Mitch's house in Legoland.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice.
But nice. It was fun. It was good. It was a good time.
Yeah, it's like a circus down there. He's got all that fun shit over there at that place. All right, so we are going to do our rundown for the evening. We're going to do the old compliment sandwich, and we're going to put the big shit burger right in the middle of our talk this evening. So let's start off on a positive note for a change. Can't believe I'm saying this here in February, but tonight your Maryland Terrapins, number 9 Maryland Terrapins, host Nebraska, and they are. They're playing really good basketball. They continue to win, and
6 in a row, going for 7.
Yep, 6 in a row, and the fact that it is February 11th and they are top 10 in the country means that they've done a nice job of maintaining an even keel in this gauntlet that has been the NCAA regular season, because everybody is losing right now in the NCAA. Right. So it's good to see the boys still,
for Gonzaga and I forget who else.
Baylor.
Baylor's okay, but Gonzaga never plays anybody. So
no, they're terrible.
Would still lose in the second round like they always do. Right?
Probably.
Not always do,
but so here we are with Maryland, and if you go back weeks on end, lots and lots of taking a dump on Turgeon, saying
Turgeon said, "Hey Jerry, go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
Hey, look who learned how to coach.
Yeah, really.
Don't worry, I'll reserve my comments for
after the next loss.
The pastry chef.
Yeah, right. All your vitriol will be saved up for our Caps talk later. But no, I mean, this Maryland team, again, the NCAA as a whole right now, it's so bizarre. You tune in and it can be a complete shit matchup on paper, and it can go down to the wire. Games can be high scoring. They can be a complete slugfest in the 40s or 50s. And no one is immune to the upset. That's what makes it so fun. But being fans of a team that is in the top 10, I know I am watching every game, regardless of whether it's tonight, Nebraska, or Saturday on the road against Michigan State. The reality part of my fandom says each game is going to go down to the wire. It's going to be close, and people laugh at me when they're like, "Oh, really? Nebraska's going to go down to the wire?" It very well may. That's just the nature of college basketball right now.
It shouldn't. They have no players, and they're not any good anyway. So,
like, they actually have no players, or
their top 2 players aren't playing, and they weren't very good before that.
Which is exactly why it'll be like a 52-50 game with.
Right.
3 minutes left.
Some guy we've never heard of is going to have a double-double. And,
Some guy that looks like Jimmy Chitwood.
Yeah, right. Sticks will get into foul trouble. Something will happen.
Some like Ukrainian kid or something like that.
Yeah, but
he comes off the bench smoking a cigarette with his Adidas.
No, but Maryland's put together now some impressive wins, and Friday night was quite impressive.
Hey, man, since January 18th, they have beaten Purdue. They've won on the road at Northwestern, Indiana, and Illinois, which was really impressive.
Yeah, that game Friday night was pretty good.
And they beat Iowa and Rutgers, which was not a great game by any means, but
nope.
It's one of the ones where I think good teams can play bad and still find a way to win.
And that's you just took the words right out of my mouth. This Maryland team in the past few years with some higher expectations, it appears that they've found ways to lose games in heartbreaking fashion, and now we're expecting them to find a way to win.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is where you want to be. They seem to be peaking at the right time, but they got to keep it going.
Yes.
I mean, they got to handle Nebraska tonight, and then they have Michigan State, then they got Northwestern again, and then they got Ohio State, Minnesota, and Michigan State again. So, their competition will probably step up a little bit.
Yep.
Playing in some tough places in the league, but they are peaking, and hopefully they keep getting better. What I'd like to see is come out from the beginning, get a good lead, be in control the whole game, win by double digits.
I would love that. I would, Jeremy, chime in here because you and I have we've championed the fact that they've got two of the best players in the nation. So you just ride them, but it would be really nice if Cowan and Sticks didn't have to play 37 and 38 minutes.
But they have to.
Yeah. Well, no, but for tonight, that's exactly the point. Get them down to 30 or so. Get guys like Lindo and Chol, give them a little bit of run, maybe,
Reese Mona, please.
Mona is another one. He can probably play 10 or 12 minutes and not hurt you on a night like tonight if you have a good start and can carry.
See, Reese Mona, he's one of those guys. I feel like if he showed up at like a drop-in game at Mitch's house in the spring, like I feel like I could hang with him, but then he'd probably drop 30 on me. I mean, that maybe look silly, but
that's how stupid we are as former athletes. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know he would own me. So
I mean, I can't even move laterally at all without my feet falling off. So of course I can't do anything. No, but you guys
be more
right.
obstacles
you
for him to
guys
get
are
through.
Right that I didn't think about that. They got to start thinking about conference tournament.
Yeah.
And NCAA, and they got to preserve some minutes.
They really do.
So if you can get your backup guys to come in and give you quality minutes, it's just going to help you.
And see, I don't even need it to be as deep as a Reese Mona or a Tomajic or those guys. But if you can have on the floor Ayala running the point, and you can have Sorrell Smith, and you can have Wiggins out there,
right.
and Smith gets instead of 12 minutes, he gets 22. That's perfectly fine with me now.
I'm telling you, when the season started, we were all talking about Cowan, Wiggins, Ayala, and that rotation that you really weren't going to have to rely on one person because you can have no drop-off. That proved not to be true as the season wore on. Cowan sort of picking up the minutes. But I think you guys are right. This is a game where you need to take advantage of some rest.
Yes.
And because you got Michigan State, and those guys are they like I said, what's the term I used? When you go down the lane, you need a knife. They have knives.
Yeah,
there are no easy buckets against them.
And it's the worst for me. It's the worst setup at Michigan State Saturday. It's College game day at Michigan State. This is the first time they haven't been ranked in so long. They've dropped a couple really tough ones, including a rivalry game against Michigan, and they've been a little snake bitten. But it's still Tom Izzo, and they're still tough as shit.
And Mark D'Antonio quit 2 weeks ago, and nobody wants that job because they're in the middle of some sort of scandal. I don't know what it is.
Something's going on.
There's he resigned abruptly, and people are saying no to left and right. I think they're going to call Jeremy next. But
I'll
vouch for him.
So that school needs some good news.
Yeah, they do. They do. But I tell you, man, I have so much respect for Izzo. He just reminds me of, he's a throwback guy. He's in that Gary mold. He's one of a dying breed where a lot of the big time coaches I just think are a bunch of scumbags. I love Izzo. Right. And he might be a scumbag. I don't really care. But he gives me that Gary vibe where I'm like, I like that guy, and his teams are tough as shit, regardless of what the record is.
But don't give him too much respect because Maryland very well maybe, and I believe is the best team in the Big Ten. If everybody's playing their A game, Maryland's the best team.
I agree. Feels good to say that.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks, that's all you've heard from any commentators is mostly, maybe not best, but most talented. And we want to see that carry through. And I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, I'm not looking past tonight by any means. But, Michigan State, I didn't watch much of the game against Michigan, but what I did see, they didn't look very good. So are they just in a down spot, or are they just not that good of a team this year? And I'm worried they're going to have a comeback, game against us. So.
See, Izzo's got the right formula. They're at home. It's College game day. He's going to lock us down defensively.
Well, anybody can beat Maryland on a. It's not like Maryland's invincible,
right?
Oh,
they're just peaking and playing the best they can.
Yeah, but so in college basketball, I think the formula when you are a little overmatched is keep the score down. Michigan State can do that. Take a page out of Tony Bennett's book at Virginia. Hey, we can't shoot with you guys, so you know what? We're going to take 10 possessions away during the course of the game. And then if we both shoot in the 40% range, we're both going to be somewhere around 50, 55 points.
And let's not, they're having a down year, but they still get good recruits.
Well, they still have Cassius Winston, right? I mean, that guy.
So let's
that guy can pop off for 30.
Let's not act like they have the three of us.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, they're tremendous.
To see.
And that's what I mean is he's such a good dynamic coach, and he's been down this road a million times. He's had teams that are up, down, in between. He doesn't get flustered by, a team like Maryland coming in. They're going to have the momentum of college game day, and it just sets up for a really big win for them.
If Maryland continues to roll, I think we're going to look back at the game at Indiana as the one where they got their balls.
Yep.
They gutted the win out. They had a lead. They lost it.
Let the record be shown that you gave me a shitty look because I didn't chastise Jalen Smith for his behavior at the end of the game.
Look, I think that was emotion. Obviously, he came out and apologized quickly, so it's actually not that big of a deal.
Right.
But you don't want that happening. But I think,
you're right. He grew his balls that day.
It's just the way they did it. They were up. They were in control. Things fell apart, and the way the season was going, they were done. Somehow, they found resiliency to come back, retake the lead, and win a close game at a hostile environment, maybe the most hostile environment in the Big Ten. And I think that is what gave them confidence, and they just started growing. Now,
I agree with you.
It all comes down. It all gets shot down if you lose to a team you're not supposed to lose to. So
right.
They need to start acting like they're Maryland and take care of business early, get a lot of people some rest, and then get ready for Michigan State.
Yep. Agreed.
No, exactly. And and that's where also what you want to make sure you see Saturday is no letdown on, obviously there's more chance of letdown against Nebraska, but you don't want to see that Iowa game over again.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you're in the game and you lose to a tough Michigan State team at home, no big deal.
Yes.
You lose by 20, it is kind of a big deal.
You make a great point there because as Jerry was reading the schedule, even though it's not like a murderer's row of opponents, there's still a bunch of road games in there, and there's still a bunch of high-quality opponents. There is a loss or two in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Michigan State, this is the road schedule. Michigan State, Ohio State,
yes,
Minnesota, Rutgers. So, honestly.
Rutgers is unbeaten at home.
Right.
I think they're 13-0.
Minnesota's, I think, probably the worst of the bunch, but they're still whatever that.
They got plenty of talent there.
They're top 50.
But again, this is where we are. If you're special, you win most of those games.
Exactly right.
If you want to be average to, if you want to go and say, well, if we get in the second round of the tournament, we're okay. Then you can go 500 with that schedule,
right,
and you're sort of on point. So it's what kind of team do you want to be? Do you want to be a tournament team, or do you want to be a tournament team that goes far?
Exactly, and that's where I'm at. And that's why I think a loss or two down the stretch here is going to happen because there's good teams that we're playing on the road. But I'm with Jeremy. The way they lose, I think, is everything right now.
I don't want them to win the Big Ten tournament. I want them to win a game, lose, get out, get rested. Because I'm telling you, the teams that waste their energy in that brutal freaking tournament against teams you've played already twice, they know you. It's not like and they're it's a foul galore. Could you imagine playing all those games and then playing a team like Michigan State who's going to foul the shit out of you, and every time you go for a shot, you're going to get clubbed, and then have to turn around and play. Probably you'll be a high seed. You'll play some senior laden Hofstra team who can come out and fire, who's going to come out and fire threes, and you're not going to have any energy. That's my worst fear.
Yeah, no, that is a realistic fear that we've seen played out in the past, both internally with our teams. West Virginia's had that happen to them. Maryland's had it happen, and we've seen many other conference champions come into the tournament and really struggle.
Losing the semis, losing.
Yeah. Here's how I see it. First of all, you have to get the double bye, and they're on track for that right now.
Yeah, you're right.
So that means a max of 3 games. Not so bad. But there's things you can figure out. Let's just say they do make the final. If you make it, you might as well win it at that point. You got to play the game, right?
Win the whole fucking thing.
Only one thing to do. And so, but what you can do though is, in that second game, in those semis, like you're talking about, you know what? That's where you start resting guys a little bit. Go deeper. If you lose, hey, no big deal. But not only are you getting your tournament rotation down, because what we're hoping is they're going to be playing multiple times, 2 games in 3 days coming up.
Yeah.
Right.
in the big tournament.
Right.
So you know what? Get your legs 3 games in 3 days. Hey, you'll learn something about yourself. It's not the worst thing.
I think they've already learned something about themselves. They played 30 games already to then. I think it's about self-preservation. I'm not telling them to go out there and tank it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you're Mark Turgeon, and I don't know if you have to make this call, but if you're going to play Cowan 35 minutes in an overtime game versus maybe not try to win not let your backups go in, save 10 minutes off his legs,
Right.
Especially if he's driving the ball in the paint, you could save that energy. I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm usually one that gives up on any loss, right? So
No, you don't say.
But I've seen it enough in the conference tournaments where people win the conference tournament and then they go out early in the NCAA because they just don't have any legs.
No,
I mean,
I've definitely seen that. No, definitely seen that.
Think about it. You got to play. Where's the Big Ten tournament held?
I think it's Indianapolis.
Of course it is, right? So it's in Indianapolis. Then you got to go back to College Park, find out where you're going to be.
They'll probably ship us out to like Sacramento.
Then go out to like Seattle.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's just boom, boom, boom. You don't get any rest.
Play at like 10:35 on a Friday
Right.
night.
Seriously, against some
I hate
against
this
some
scenario.
team with 5'6" whiteys who have played together for 5 years. It's just the worst nightmare.
It really
Which
is.
everybody in the country is cheering for,
Of course.
right?
We almost had that happen last year with Belmont.
Yeah.
Remember that guy from Belmont put up like 30? It was ridiculous. I think he was 8 for 12 from 3-point range or something.
Seniors, teams with seniors and a core group of guys who've been together are fucking dangerous.
Very, very much so. And those teams don't have the miles on the tires that the big conference teams do with how brutal the
because
conference
those guys have
schedules
been
are.
rolling through their schedule.
And like Jeremy was saying, I mean, Gonzaga looks great.
Yeah, San Diego State's the other team I was trying to think of.
Oh, yeah, that's right. San Diego State and Gonzaga are considered like 1s and 2s, but they don't scare me at all.
Oh, they're both 1s right now. Yeah. They're both 1 seeds.
See, I would be. Are they good? Absolutely. Could they beat Maryland? Of course they could. I would rather play one of those guys than Kentucky.
Oh yeah. Well,
Absolutely,
yeah.
Because those guys haven't been challenged.
Exactly.
Could you imagine? They're playing against lesser opponents when they go up against someone their own. Who knows if they can withstand? That's always been the Gonzaga St. Mary thing, right?
Yep.
It's always there's a team in Ohio. They always have high seeds.
Dayton?
No, it's I can't. But they'll always play someone like Maryland, right? They'll be like a 6 or 7 seed. Maryland will be a 10 seed, and I'm like, Maryland's going to beat them. And sure enough, I want to say Creighton, but teams like that, that are always the higher seed or have the higher seed in the second round. I'm always picking against them because they're going to play some big conference team who's been through the wars, and those guys haven't had.
You're going to play a Michigan State who falls to an 8 or a 9 seed,
right?
And if you're a 1 seed, you go, shit, I don't want those guys in the second round. I mean, it's a nightmare. Well, hey, I really hope that they.
Now I'm gonna freaking try to find that Ohio. I know it's an Ohio team, but they're always like pretty good, and my team always plays them in the second round, either West Virginia or Maryland, and we always win.
Speaking of which, West Virginia, they've cooled off a little bit, but man, are they good.
Well, they cannot win on the road at all.
Really?
I mean, they've lost like 13 straight road games.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Big 12 is no slouch on the road, though.
No.
You got to play at Kansas. You got to play at Baylor. You got to play at Texas.
Until you win on the road.
K-State, there's some teams around.
No one can take you seriously.
Yeah, it's a
until
good
you win on
point.
the road.
That's a good point.
That's what I used to say with Maryland. Until they win on the road.
And when you just read off those 3 road wins, I was like, damn, that's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive.
Yeah. That Illinois win the other night was so great last Friday.
Yeah, because that was a really good atmosphere.
So, to the lead up to that, I was taking George to his hockey game, and on Twitter, they had one of the writers for Testudo Times said, we're here in downtown Champaign, and here's a billboard, and it was one of those like digital billboards, and I think it's called the State Farm Center is Illinois' home court, and it said pack State Farm, and it had tonight's game sold out, wear orange, be loud or whatever. They'd students lined up an hour before the game when the doors were going to open. It was probably the biggest game in Illinois against a top 10 team in a really long time.
They said something like 20 years maybe.
And the fact that Maryland went in there and just basically blew the doors off them in the second half is so impressive. Yep. So impressive. I'm really happy for the guys. All the times that we've